Yesterday, Manchester City took on Bayern Munich at the Etihad Stadium in the first leg of the Champions League Quarterfinal, which is arguably, in my opinion, the best tie of the quarterfinals, despite Real Madrid-Chelsea also being a great tie. What I want to say is this. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm going to be in the forefront here, be very straight up about this. I'm a Manchester City fan. I have been for over 20 years, even when they were absolute garbage. That said, that was a proper masterclass. That was a domineering performance by every squad member in the Manchester City squad. And not to say that Bayern Munich weren't, value for their money. I mean, they had opportunities, especially Leroy Sané, who I still absolutely love. One of my all-time favorite players. He was great at Manchester City. I was sad to see him leave. But he had opportunities, quite a few. And if it was not for absolutely resolute defending by John Stones and Ruben Diaz, two of the players of the match, in my opinion, yesterday, they could easily have scored some goals. To be able to keep a clean sheet against that Bayern squad and to put three past them was incredibly impressive by Manchester City, and I think they have 1 foot in the semifinal based on that performance, especially if they can continue that next weekend in Bayern. Or in Munich against Bayern. I think they have every capacity to get into the semifinal and face off against the winner of the Real Madrid-Chelsea matchup, who in my opinion will most likely be Real Madrid. That said, I just want to talk about the performances. I mean, Ederson, who's gotten a lot of flack this year, and rightly so in some capacity. I think it's been a little bit over the top, the flack that he's gotten. And especially the calls for him to be dropped for Ortega, who I do also like, mind you. But he was phenomenal yesterday, especially in his one-on-ones. His sweeper keeper approach was excellent, and his distribution, as always, was phenomenal. But to me, every single member of that defensive squad last night or yesterday were phenomenal. Manuel Akanji, John Stones, Ruben Diaz, and Nathan Ake were absolutely stupendous. Just resolute defending, no nonsense. They literally were like, no, you're not scoring against us, period. And they held onto the clean sheet, which is impressive. I want to continue to talk about Rodri. I mean, to me, he's one of the most underrated players in the world. He, in my opinion, is the best central defensive midfielder in the world right now, based on form. And honestly, I want you to fight me on that one. I really want you to tell me who you think is better, because right now that man is pure class, period. KDB had a little bit of an off night. Couldn't quite get into the mix as best as he can be, especially as such a world-class player. I mean, I didn't credit, I think, to Joshua Kimmich for kind of shackling him, who I also find to be a phenomenal player. I love Kimmich. And then Gundogan, just keeping it ticking like he always does. I mean, he's just a pure class player. I've always liked Ilkay Gundogan, incredibly respected in the squad, and I respect him heavily. And then that front three was excellent. Grealish was excellent again. Haaland was excellent. And I think the surprise inclusion of Bernardo over Riyad Mahrez, who's been Manchester City's savior in the Champions League on many occasions, caught a lot of people by surprise. But in my opinion, Bernardo was the man of the match. I mean, granted, it could go to anybody in the defense because they were all absolutely spectacular. But Bernardo, goal and an assist, led the pressing from the front, just always running, always doing what he does. To me, he's one of the best players in the world, and just pure class across the board. But honestly, that was a masterclass. Manchester City, I think, honestly, have a 1 foot into the semifinal, and I think it was a humbling for Bayern Munich to a degree. I think that was their heaviest loss in the Champions League in quite a long time. And Thomas Tuchel has a lot to think about for the second leg, how he's going to counter Manchester City's dominance from the first leg. But we'll see how that plays out next week. Manchester City, tons of credit for that performance. Keep it up. I have a feeling if you keep that up, then the Champions League this year is a distinct possibility for the squad, which will be the first Champions League trophy in their cabinet, should they maintain that form. As for Bayern, you got to go back to the drawing board, figure it out, try to make a game of the second leg, and who knows, anything can happen. We've seen crazier comebacks in the history of the Champions League, so you never know. But to me, Manchester City moves on.